Hi, Tim Burnett here. I hope you're safe and well. Welcome to the Test Community Network Weekly Update. This is a special one because I'm going to be talking about the future of assessment, and I'm going to be talking through the kind of 5 stages that we're going to be going towards AGI. That's artificial general intelligence, kind of near human capabilities. So let's have a look at what we're going to talk in. So just if you don't know me, I'm an independent marketing consultant, and I've set up the Test Community Network. An idea of Test Community Network is to bring together a diverse community of assessment specialists from across the world into one hub and place. And what that looks like is, if you look at the Test Community Network platform, is a whole host of resources, of podcasts and marketplace events, and I'm going to be dipping into these as we go through here as well. But if you want to see any of the resources or any of the conversations or see any of the platforms and technologies that are available out there, particularly using AI, then please do check that out. Just other information about what I do then. So as well as being a marketing consultant with this, I'm a board member for the Assessment Association. I'm part of the EATP, that's the conference in Berlin, the European Association of Test Publishers Conference Steering Committee. Was a former chair on that. Do get yourself over to Berlin in October. I do recommend that. I'm also a part-time teacher at a local college where I teach marketing apprentices, and I co-host the It Depends podcast with Amanda Danis as well. So I kind of get myself involved in lots of things, and I've really kind of got myself embraced and engaged in where we're going with AI. So let's kind of take us on a little bit of a journey. So let's just quickly look at those 5 steps towards AGI. So we've got conversational generative AI. That's what we've seen recently. And we've got the evolution of problem solvers, reasoning capabilities within AI. Then we're going to see agents, which are multitaskers, able to make decisions. We're then going to see an innovative stage where AI is going to be able to create and solve some of the many problems in humanity's kind of life, so power consumption, disease, and then we're going to be into this organizational structure, and this is based on the OpenAI's internal 5-level structures towards it. I'm going to take us through the kind of step 1, and then we're going to have a conversation about what assessment will look like in the other stages. So we've all seen, hopefully you've seen ChatGPT. The idea came along 3.5 some time ago. Amazing at first, you typing away, creating incredible essays, and then going off and finding that half the information was incorrectly referenced or just made up completely. That has changed and it's got better, but still there's still some way to go, and that's going to need to be solved as we move towards the kind of idea of agents and things like that. If you want to kind of get a feel for some of the other large language models out there, then this one, AIanswers.com, is quite a useful tool to go through, because when you put in a prompt, it will go through Claude, Gemini, some of the kind of big ones, then some of the other ones like Meta, etc., and kind of show you the responses it's seeing there. So it's a good way to get a feel for what's going on in the space. Also, search, huge potential for search to be changed the way through. So Perplexity, if you want to try out an AI search tool, then this is a good one. It uses various different models as part of it. But we are seeing more kind of AI snippets coming as part of the Google search, and ChatGPT are rolling out slowly their GPT search tool as well. So some big changes are going to be happening there. So let's look at the creative side. So, this is one of the kind of first things I tried and tested with AIs. I used Midjourney. A little bit awkward to use because it's in the Discord platform, but now, it's actually, they've got a web interface version. So less awkward to create and work with, still creating slightly weird images sometimes, but creating beautiful stills. And then what you could do is you can use those in some of the platforms. So using Midjourney's kind of capabilities, and then you've got audio capabilities. So here's what I did with this is I took a syllabus for a course that my wife was studying on gardening, and I asked it to create me a script for a podcast so we could learn lessons as part of a podcast environment. And this was some of the work that I created with real voices in the Play HT environment.
Moving into the world of plant classification, structure, and function. Whether you're a horticulturalist,
so realistic voices, creating podcast and learning content. And then you could look at the other platforms like 11 Labs, which have some very similar capabilities, but also have kind of text to special effects features as well. So adding in some nice bird song there, your solution. looking at some other generative tools. So this is Luma, and within here you've got kind of the ability to create quite stunning visual, moving, short B-roll style footage, and then slightly more sophisticated solutions as well for music. So this is being able to create music tracks. Here's a bit of a folk song I've created for my. So you can type in there and ask it to create any kind of music track based on any kind of genre and any particular topic. And then you've got platforms like Runway, which, a bit like Luma, are able to kind of extend out the visual capabilities, but you can then actually map the audio that you've created and lip sync it to. So here I asked it to create me this moving footage of a lady in her 60s who's this gardener talking to camera through a garden.
In today's episode, we're diving into the world of plant classification, structure, and function. Whether you're a horticulture student or a home gardener.
So I've synced the audio that I created as part of that realistic piece to this person. So this person's never existed. So these are the kind of capabilities that are available now as part of the process. And obviously we've got deep fake things going on as well. But interestingly, some of the models are using one particular thing, which is Will Smith eating spaghetti as a means to kind of test the capabilities of these solutions.
Every scene, there it was. Spaghetti, my constant companion, my silent co-star. From battling aliens to saving the world, that tangle.
So obviously, if you're interested in seeing Will Smith eat spaghetti, then that's something to keep an eye on. But we're also seeing some other quite innovative uses of AI for cloning as well. So this is the HeyGen platform. So I clone myself in here. I've actually then with some audio got it to translate it to German. So here's me talking German.
Test Community.Network, ihrer Brücke zu einer vielfältigeren globalen Bewertungsgemeinschaft.
Incredible, really, in terms of capabilities that we've seen. Yeah, this progress in such a short space of time. And there's lots of other platforms and apps out there that can help you. So this is Podcrafter. The idea you could script it out, pick a voice, and create your own podcasts on it. You've got TurboScribe, which you can feed in some audio or video and it will transcribe it. You've got slightly future thinking platforms like Showrunner, the idea that you could effectively almost have your own Netflix where you give a prompt as the type of thing you want to watch. I want to watch an episode of Friends, and it'll train it on Friends and create a new episode for the storyline that you crafted. And it's worth checking out and keep an eye on Product Hunt. This is a place where a lot of these new apps get posted. People are looking out for funding, but also just to show off and share within the community. There's every day there's hundreds of new apps that are being pushed out there. This is also a piece of research that was done. It's worth checking out. This is top 100 generative AI consumer apps, and there's things that I've never heard of or used on here. So interestingly, things like dating apps that help you refine your approach to dating, improve your looks, and gives you advice. So if you want to start taking AI's advice, then go for it. But we're going to start to see more of these products within our home. So Amazon have announced Alexa's new kind of remarkable Alexa. So, it's been around for quite a while now, and it's not seen too much of an upgrade. We've seen all these generative solutions come along, but the idea you're going to be able to have real conversations with Alexa, although you're going to have to pay for it, apparently, which is interesting. Something, of course, I just want to always flag here is the ability to connect these things together. So to create proof of concepts and get data moving around. So one thing I do particularly with AI is to use Airtable with ChatGPT. So I feed in information and ask it to go through and generate me, whether it's messages based on a series of different pieces of information to personalize it, or whether it's just to provide summaries. But the idea of that you can connect up multiple apps as part of this and have AI's ChatGPT's APIs as part of that process as well is quite useful. So let's talk about education. So we've seen some quite exciting developments in the generative space. What's going on in the assessment space? Well, obviously, people are being quite scared and panicked about what's going to happen. So homework, this study here, piece of work, suggesting that 82% of undergraduates and 2% of K-12 students are using AI for school and for their homework. Now, what kind of impact is that going to have? it's obviously going to have some impact if we're not still learning the process and just leaving it to AI to do. But there's huge potential for these technologies to help and aid the education process. This is an interesting tool which is available now for your Notebook LM, where you can feed in large amounts of resources and chat against it, ask it to give summaries, but it's very good at referencing things. So whether you're going to use it as part of a study process, or whether I use it for sometimes competitor analysis when I'm looking at multiple sources. So it's quite a useful tool. And then in the teaching space, this is a particular tool that my college took on board, Teachermatic. Effectively, it's serving me up lots of these very, very useful jump-off prompts that I can then use to create multiple choice, kind of real teacher-saving tasks. So I can create myself a series of multiple choice questions with ABC answers, and we're seeing this within the assessment world that we live in, that kind of high stakes space. So the idea of STEM and distractor based creation using AI. There's other platforms that are available. There's Almanac, which does a very similar job. You've got Magic School as well. They've just got this huge amount of funding, I believe. And then you're also seeing solving questions and complex things. So you can, with platforms like Question AI, you can drag in images and lengthy equations, and it will give you solutions to it. One potential other area where we're seeing some shifts is the idea of actually getting hands-on work experience with things, so internships. Now, this is a kind of step towards, I wouldn't say it's a full step, but the idea of simulated internships is quite interesting. The fact that you could almost, be part of a team or a job without in a kind of low-stakes position, but take part in a role before you then actually join a company. So going through simulated activities as if you were actually part of an employment setting. It's worth checking out. Keep an eye on the AI Special Interest Group from the Assessment Association. I mentioned I was a board member on this. They had a recent webinar on e-marking and essays, and one of the kind of big things there, they also talked about ethics, is the idea that humans still need to be in the loop. You can't necessarily trust these models, and particularly things like using generative AI tools to mark things. It's very much black box. You need to be able to understand fully what's going on within the marking process, and you need to make sure the standards are still significantly high. AI has been around in assessment for quite some time, but these have been specialist models that have been trained against large sets of data, being big projects. I've tried it. I've tried feeding in kind of my own work to see what kind of feedback it gives on it. And sometimes, when I know it's wrong, the stuff I've done, it's given me very positive feedback on it. So you have to be still quite wary about how they work on this. There's a webinar coming up I just want to draw your attention to. It's been announced actually, TBA, technology-based assessment, I think it is, a committee. They've got a webinar, kind of AI in the real world. Liberty Munson's going to be talking about Microsoft's use of AI for test development in the psychometric process. And I'm no doubt that there'll be lots of conversations about AI coming up in the Beyond Multiple Choice conference as well. So lots to come there. So let's start having a look at some of the kind of really quite interesting future stuff as well, stuff that here and now that could have a big impact. So this is Claude, one of the kind of main platforms, and one, to be honest, I use for probably about 70% of the time in terms of an AI tool. They've introduced this idea of artifacts and the idea that you can create interactive apps and components as well. So it's getting towards this idea of kind of generative coding model, which we've seen a lot of coding going on, but this here is, I've asked it to create me a calculator, an interactive calculator, and it's doing the coding now for me. It's crafting that. I could then potentially chat and refine it. It will go through several iterations of it, but all being well, there I've got a calculator. Let's see if it works. So 2 plus 2 equals 4. There we go. Nice little calculator app. And this, you think about the kind of advanced question types, the ability for a subject matter expert to create interactive apps as part of their test development process. This to me is kind of huge and exciting. The amount of time that we spend in the assessment world developing these advanced question types is phenomenal. And the idea that you could, in theory, just shortcut a lot of that development, create something which is QTI standard, work into a particular framework, and then drop it within a testing environment, obviously after doing some testing and QA. But we're going to see some big advances in the way that AI is used for coding, and we've got Amazon Q here, which is supposedly, Amazon are using it internally. It's cut down a massive amount of work that's been for kind of refining their code based for their platforms. And then you've got other platforms like this one, Cursor, which you can chat with to create and author code. So in theory, this whole digital assessment cycle is going to be significantly advanced by this this kind of speedier approach to creation. Then we've also got other platforms like Hume, which is the idea of being an empathetic AI voice, that you can have a chat with it and you can understand your tone and frustrations within your voice, your sentiments, I suppose, within there as well. And the other one that I really love is Vappy, which is a great one to try having a chat with. I actually tried with this earlier to ask it to take on the persona of a student that I was teaching, and I wanted them to ask me lots of questions. The idea being that to test my knowledge on a particular activities, I've got to try and teach someone else. I've got to share my knowledge with someone through this kind of simulated teaching exercise. And by them asking me questions, it really makes me think about the process. So I love the idea that obviously one-to-one interviews as part of a process is a great way to assess someone, because you can adapt the questions, you can really delve into the knowledge as part of it, but it's quite a resource intensive process. So and also the standardization between different assessors could vary, bias could creep in. This is where AI could cut out a lot of that process. And I've even seen an app which can actually go through recruitment processes for you. So that kind of thing really excites me. The fact that you could be having one-to-one personalized interviews based on your own social, your own business context, work context, your own learning journey, your own learning specialisms, your own abilities, and being assessed in that way, just to me is hugely exciting. I just want to kind of pick up another couple of bits, which is the GBTs, the idea of having your own little programmable assistants. We've seen that in ChatGPT for a while now, but Gems has come out now for Gemini. You have to pay for these, I believe, but it's worth checking those out as well. And then I suppose the final thing to mention on this kind of point is just what's happening in terms of the size of the models. And we've got these big, huge, we've gone down this route where they've been creating huge, vast models and throwing more and more processing power at it and computing power to create these and train these larger models. But the idea that things like GPT-4 Mini and more domain-specific models could be created, higher quality content being used to create these very focused, potentially even more portable models. So the idea that you could have a model within a test driver, for instance, or within the hardware. So converging this kind of the AI, the wearables with the AI solutions, and we're seeing that with glasses and things like that at the moment. But and there's a device out called Friend. Where that's going to go, and how we live and breathe and interact with the AI be significant. And that's going to be quite significant on the testing world, because we need to take that into consideration as part of how we live and work. We can't ignore AI as part of the process. So let's just go back to that kind of 5 steps piece and just see where we are. So that's all the kind of, I suppose, step 1 really, as to where we are at the moment. That's all these amazing generative technologies that are out there now. Step 2, we're going to see an increase in the use of reasoning capabilities and problem-solving capabilities. And this is Project Strawberry that OpenAI are working on now, which I believe is going to drive the, I think it's Project Orion, which is effectively GPT-5 that we're going to see soon. What's interesting about this is that the capabilities of these models to be able to plan and problem solve are going to be enormous. And this is kind of going to be a big step in our kind of use of AI. It's going to be a significant part of it. One thing they're talking about is the idea that we're going to be moving away from system 1 to system 2 thinking. So rather than AI serving up an immediate answer to it, it's going to go through more complicated problems in stages and steps and learn from its kind of process. I suppose question itself as part of that the journey. So you might find that you ask ChatGPT to solve a particular problem, and it might take longer than a few seconds to come out with the results, but it's going to take itself through a journey and report back on the learning journey it's had as part of that. So it could be 30 minutes that before you get that response through, but the idea being it'll be a lot more accurate in the way that it's able to do things. That and then enables us to move towards having agent label capability. Just sticking with step 2 though for a second, the other things we're going to see is increased vision capability within these models. So the ability to look and see around it and interpret what's going on and understand that. And obviously, if you lay that in with the problem reasoning, as part of that understanding what's going on, then I see huge potential in things like performance testing capabilities, where you imagine an AI monitoring you performing a task and adapting the questions it asks you as part of that journey. You think back to that Zapier model there, where you're chatting away with it. It's asking you questions as to what you're doing, asking you to explain things, because it understands what you're doing and where you may be going right or maybe going wrong as part of that process. So, moving away from just purely knowledge-based testing to this kind of performance testing world, I think I find that really quite exciting. So a combination of voice and visual understanding plus the problem-solving and reasoning capability that will come from it. Now, I think the big shift really for step 3 in that kind of journey is with agents. This idea of agents is the idea of multiple tasks, capabilities with decision making in there. So it's solving problems, it's taking lots of steps towards doing something, but it's then making a decision, taking an action with it. So this is where we've gone beyond in kind of step 1 and step 2 is kind of tasks in our jobs and roles being supported and augmented by AI. In step 3, then we may see more use of AI to not say take over jobs, but reduce significantly the burden within some of the jobs that are out there. And if you combine that with kind of the idea of augmenting a workforce, I myself could be surrounded by several agents which are doing tasks for me that I've learned and trained. So I'm effectively building my own team. That just creates amazing potential for, I suppose, productivity. And there might be a bit of cost saving in there, but we've seen it on generation after generation where new technologies come along, and yes, there have been layoffs because the factories have now got robots working them and things like that. But it's shifted that we've adapted to it. So I don't see it as being a huge threat to the way we work. Where my concern is for testing is partly through if we keep going at the approach that we're going in the way that we're creating and delivering tests, then there's going to be huge risks, obviously, for AI capability to be able to replicate an answer and take on your persona and your vision, your actual physical appearance, and take remote tests or something for you. And there's been hints of that kind of going on already a little bit. But also the jobs that we're actually testing for. What are we actually testing for? So we could see significant changes in the job, the blueprints, etc., for the actual assessments themselves, because the roles, the jobs have changed. So that's where I see some big shifts going forward. Now, obviously, I'm future gazing here. I don't have the answers to all this, and there's going to be other people out there who've got other opinions on this. So don't shoot me down. Just chat with me on this as to where you think whether you think I'm right, whether you think I'm wrong. You've got a different alternative view and vision on this. Then finally, we're at step 4 with the kind of innovators. Not finally, but the idea that AI has the capability of taking on expert level human abilities to create and solve new problems, come up with creative solutions, solve the energy crisis, solve the cure diseases, transform our lives effectively. And then we're moving really close to the idea of kind of AI abundance in work and society, and how is that going to have an impact on how we live and work if AI is capable of doing a lot more activities and solving a lot more problems for us. We're all living longer as a result of the diseases that are being cured. Step 5, though, then is the kind of what OpenAI considered to be the kind of AGI position. And Demis, when he set up Google or DeepMind, it was a 20-year project, and we're now kind of predicting that 2030 we'll be in a position where we have AGI. Now there's going to be people out there arguing the toss as to whether or not we're at the AGI stage. There's going to be people going to make significant claims along the way that they've achieved it, that they have a human level thinking capable AI robot as part of that process. It's going to be a fascinating journey. I think we'll see kind of steps towards this. I don't think we'll ever really kind of bottom out, because nobody can actually define what this is like. But it's going to change our world and our life, and that's going to happen potentially in the next kind of 10 to 15 years. So the idea of organizations being solely run by AI is going to be a big thing. So is all things lost? Is it all, should we run to the hills now? Well, not quite, I don't think. If you think about what's next and what's happening, then what you need to look out for is savior as part of the process. Oprah Winfrey springs to mind. So someone is going to be running a show. So if you've not found this useful and you want someone who can speak a little bit more your language, then check out Oprah Winfrey's new AI and the Future of Us series that's coming up there, which I think is going to open up a lot more in the kind of public domain and debate. And finally, I want to leave you with this kind of vision, really. Obviously, I've not touched much on robotics and taking over the world and life, but this is, I think, a kind of fascinating view as to what the future will be. Will we have robots finally living as part of our lives and families? This is figure 2, a robot that's coming along. It's already doing some trials within workforces. I suppose the one saving grace that I'll leave you with this is that, has man really got too much to worry about, or humanity got anything too much to worry about when robots walking around as if they've cacked their pants? So I'll leave you with that. I hope you found this useful. Obviously, there's been a bit of future gazing, but I think the one thing to kind of draw on is that there is significant capability available now that just needs stringing together. And as these models and solutions and technologies start to be able to connect more and pull these capabilities in more, we're going to see some incredible things going on within our world. So that's it from me. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you next week with an interview with another guest. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.